In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch scale Snowspeeder. Hi there Star Wars collectors, welcome to another Boss's Bounty video and welcome to my review of the Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch scale Snowspeeder. And as you can see, it also comes with the figure of Dak Ralter included, which is pretty awesome. By the sheer size of the box, this vehicle is going to be an absolute beast. It literally can only just fit in within the camera. I've had to move it slightly back to get it all in shot for you, but we're going to take a look at the box as best as we can before we open her up and get the vehicle out itself. So let's take a look at that now. So as you can see, we do have the Star Wars logo, Black Series, in the top left hand corner there. Snowspeeder, Dak Ralter. We've got an image of the Snowspeeder with Dak Ralter with his helmet off there, standing right next to the Snowspeeder, and of course a sole image of the Snowspeeder as well, with the 40th anniversary of the Empire Strikes Back logo at the very top there. I don't know if you can see that. Let me just lift that up. You can just see that there. Absolutely awesome. Side of the box, we have another image of a side-on view of the Snowspeeder. This side of the box is very hard to see in the light. Let me try and get some light on there for you. And on the other side of the box, we just have the red panel with Snowspeeder Dak Ralter written there with no numbering there. I'm sorry for the glare, but it's impossible for me to get that in shot without the light reflecting off of it. Back of the box there, you can see some of the features. We've got the cockpit open there. We can see inside the cockpit there with all the panels and buttons and everything and controls, which looks absolutely awesome. And just another couple of images down the bottom right showing some of the other features where you can take this panel off to see the inside workings of the Snowspeeder, and of course the air brakes there as well, which is absolutely cool. So we're going to get this out, we're going to put it together. I'm pretty sure all you've got to do is put the guns on there, and that is pretty much about it. But we'll see what's inside the box and then take a look at the ship. And if any of you were wondering how it's packaged with inside the box, this is it here. You've got the inserts there. The ship is huge. I can see already it's going to be absolutely massive. It's taking up the whole box. We've got Dak in his own little blister there. On the side of the box, we've got the guns here and obviously the other pieces there as well. The little panel is already off, so that's going to be somewhere in the box as well. And we can already see the detailing there, which is pretty cool. So let's get this open, let's get it built, and let's take a closer look at the ship itself. All right then, wow, look at that. There it is outside of the box with none of the actual pieces that I've put on there because I just wanted to take a quick look at Dak himself. Here is Dak, and as you can see, he is pretty much exactly the same as the Luke Skywalker figure. I'm pretty sure the only difference is the belt. If we look at him now in this one, now I'm not going to be able to put Luke in the ship today because I do not want to open this one. I'm going to wait for the one that comes in the standard packaging and put that Luke inside mine. But I do have Dak to test out the seating and everything like that and the cockpit. But there you can see the figures, the flight suit and everything look pretty much identical. Obviously the helmet for this guy will be a different design, different paint job. But you can just see there the belt is slightly different. He's got more of like a flight suit belt, whereas Luke's got his with a little hook for his lightsaber and things like that. But that seems to be the only noticeable difference on the figure. I will get to the articulation of the figure a little bit later in the review, but I do want to take a look at the ship first and get that built. So we'll come to the figure in a little while. So I now have everything out of the packaging, and as you can see, we have this little part here, which is obviously going to go there once this is on. It also comes with the rear gun there, which is going to be mounted on top of there. In the packet was also Dak's helmet, which you can see there is different to Luke's, different paint job, but still very nice indeed as well. Lots of detail and weathering on that, so it's not a bright white. And obviously you've got the little chin guard there as well, chin strap, which is pretty awesome. Also, it comes with these two mini grenades, which is obviously what Luke uses to throw up inside the AT-AT, which is awesome. And I'm pretty sure that there's going to be somewhere in the cockpit to store those. We'll take a look at that in a second when we open up the cockpit. And you also get the grappling gun, as I like to call it, which Luke obviously uses to fire up to the AT-AT to take him up there so he can throw the grenades inside. And I do believe also there's going to be a place to store that in there as well. So let's just explore some of the detailing on before I build it, because I do want to look at the detailing in this panel. So I'm just going to move the camera now just so you can see a good look in there. And as you can see, the detail is fantastic. The paintwork that they have used on the ship on a whole is very, very nice indeed. Lots of weathering and what looks like battle damage and things like that. Exhaust fumes, that kind of thing on the ship itself look really, really, really nice. Inside there, they didn't have to do that at all. That's just some extra details. You do get that kind of thing with the vintage collection ships, such as the Skiff and the barge and things like that. Detailing behind panels and things like that, which you wouldn't ordinarily see. But of course, you might want the ship in the hangar bay being fixed or something like that. But to be honest, I'd probably want to just display it with the panel on and obviously the guns on there and everything. But we're going to make our way round the front of the ship there. As you can see, it looks very, very nice indeed. No expense spared when it comes to the detailing of the paintwork. Very nice all round. So yeah, I just wanted to show you the detail in there close up. Look at that, it's fantastic. Before I put the panel on, because I do need to put the panel on to get the rest of the guns on. So we're going to do that right now. So there you have it with the panel on. What you do is you get the two little tabs in the bottom, then click it in down the top. And mine looks to be very nice and flush indeed. No gaps at all to speak of. So let's get this piece on now. All right then, so there we have it completely built. As you can see, I've got the guns in there. They were very easy. They just clipped in. There's only one way they can go. Obviously, you've got the flat side of that piece of plastic there, which just pushes down on there. Very, very simple indeed. Just put the gun on the back. And that is it really in terms of building the model itself. Now, I just want to stress the size of this thing. As you can see, it looks pretty big, but you're not going to get a true scale of it until I bring the vintage version of the Snowspeeder alongside it. So I'm just going to get that now for you. Okay, so here is my childhood version of it. And as you can see, it's pretty much double the size, isn't it? Let's face it. I mean, obviously it's got to be to fit a 6-inch figure inside with a 3 3/4. It's nearly double the size. It absolutely dwarfs it. If I can just get them a bit better in shot for you there. So that just gives you an idea of the scale of the size of the Snowspeeder, and it's just mammoth, but it looks really, really good, I've got to admit. But we're going to look at some more of the features now. We're going to look inside the cockpit and on the underneath of the ship to see what features we have in store. Okay, so we're going to start with the cockpit here, and it's just going to lift up with this clip here. I've loosened it a little bit because it's very difficult to get undone with one hand, but you can see it has these little clips here and one on the other side, and that's what's going to keep it in place. And it does sit very flush indeed, which is obviously what you need. Now we're going to move in here now, and you can just see there, let's get some lighting on Dak's position. And the detail is fantastic with his little control panel and joysticks right there. And we're going to put him in a second to see how he fits in. What I do love is the little handlebars here on the canopy, which obviously they use to pull down the canopy, which I just think is a lovely little touch there. Very nice indeed. So you can imagine them pulling that down like that. Looking at Luke's area here, let's try and get some light into there for you. And again, he's got his little joysticks there, which are either side of him rather than in the middle, and his little control panels as well. We will also notice that you can see two little grenades there. They're actually molded in place, but there is a little hole there for the third one. So you can just put that in right there like that. So the attention to detail there is second to none. Obviously you can just take that out and put in his hand or something. But I do like the way that they've given you the space for that. If we just turn the ship around, you can see as well that there is space for the other one as well. But obviously the two rear ones are molded. Now it's going to be difficult to see, but there is also space for you to store this, which you just put in down here, and it slots in to a little hole there very nicely. So it sits nice and snug out the way. The seat belts are like a Y shape, and they have little pegs here, which you can just remove like so and like so, which is obviously going to allow you to get your figure inside. We're going to do that right now just to see how snugly they fit within that cockpit. All right, so there we have Dak in the front of the Snowspeeder. Obviously, I do know that he is supposed to be in the back seat there, but as I mentioned, I don't want to get my Luke Skywalker off that card back just yet. I want to wait for the regular release before I open that one to get them both in. But as you can see, the hands there do grip the joysticks, which is a very nice thing that they can do. And I have tried him in the rear seat as well, and he does grip those as well, which is awesome. The hand sculpts there are perfect for that. We do have the seat belt there fastened with the clips just on the back of the seat to keep him nice and sturdy. And we're just going to test the cockpit now just to make sure that it does sit flush with the figure in, which it does very nicely. And he just looks awesome in there, doesn't he? You can just see him through the windows there, and you can see all the detailing on top of that cockpit. I do love the paintwork on these pieces here. That does make it look so realistic. Just going to take a look at the back of the ship. Very reminiscent of the vintage one with the grille here, and obviously very accurate to the film indeed. And we're just going to take a look at the air brakes here. And what they do is they clip up like this. So they move up and then you can move them back like that. So you can actually have the brakes on if you like. And there is a little bit of detailing in there. If I can just get the light in there for you. Some nice sculpt going on in there as well. And obviously you can do exactly the same with the other one there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put this one back down. That's how they go back down, and they clip in on all sides like that. The gun on the back there is pretty nice. I think they could have done with a bit more paintwork on there. It is just the one colour, sort of gunmetal grey. Not too much detailing on that at all. And they also do have these little flaps here which move up and down, which I can show you better when we turn the ship upside down. So here is the Snowspeeder upside down, and again you can just see the sheer size of this thing. It is absolutely huge. Some nice detailing there, some weathering there, as you can see, as the ship's been maybe crash lands or something on the ground. Some scuff marks there, which is pretty nice. I do like that, but not too much else really. Some nice sculpt work and everything, but not too much in the way of weathering. Of course, the landing gear is hidden in here as well, so we can just lift these up like so and lift up the landing gear like that. So that comes out like that. Very reminiscent again of the vintage Snowspeeder, and again you're going to get some landing gear in here as well. And as you can see, that landing gear is actually attached to that side of the opening there, and this is going to be exactly the same for this one over here. There you go. Once again, just held in with some screws on that side there. As I mentioned before, there are some of these little flaps here which do articulate like so. And again, you can just see the inner workings of those there, and they just move back down as well. Of course, you have the tow cable here, which is obviously used to bring down the ATAT, and that obviously would shoot out like that. And that does come out pretty far. I think that's about as far as mine goes. I think that's at least maybe 25 centimeters that comes out. And if you want to bring that back in, there's a little panel here which lifts up. Oh, actually, look, I've got some more there tied in a knot. So you could undo that knot and it'd actually come out even further. But if you wanted to bring that back in, all you've got to do is pull that in like that, wrap it all up, stick it back in there, close the panel, and that's the tow cable retracted. So we're going to test out the landing gear now just to see how well it sort of stands on its own. And there you go, very nice indeed. So all in all, a absolutely stunning ship, and obviously you're going to expect that from the Black Series. I'm not sure what other ships they could do. Maybe the A-Wing. I think if you went as far as the B-Wing or something like that, I think they're just going to get too big. I think the Snowspeeder in terms of the 6-inch scale is absolutely perfect. And once again, if we just lift this cockpit up here, this is pretty stiff this side, I must admit. You can just see him in there. I'd say I do apologise for not having both figures in there, but I do know for a fact if you were to have another figure in there with the helmet on, that the canopy would close perfectly. So overall, a great looking ship. Now we're just going to take a look at the figure itself in Dak. I'm sure you've seen the Luke Skywalker figure and all the articulation and everything, so we're just going to look at that very, very quickly indeed. But in terms of the ship, I'm very, very impressed with the overall quality of this 6-inch Snowspeeder. As I said, it's going to be very difficult for them to do other ships in the Rebel Alliance and the Rebel fleet. Things like the B-Wing I think might be a little bit too big, but I think they could probably get away with the A-Wing as I mentioned, but anything bigger than that, I think you're asking for trouble really. You're just not going to have anywhere to display this. I'm kind of wondering where I'm going to have space to display this. It is absolutely huge. If I just bring in the vintage one, the original vintage one, if I just lay that on top like that, you can just see the difference in size. This thing is absolutely mammoth. In terms of the figure for Dak, as you can see there, without the helmet on, it's a pretty nice facial sculpt with the photoreal tech on there. He's got his like skull cap, flight cap going on there, which is pretty nice as well. But all in all, it's pretty much the same figure as the Luke Skywalker, but obviously with a different belt, with all the articulation that you're going to need. Obviously the head will be on a ball joint, lots of movement there. You've got ball jointed arms, and I do believe we do have the butterfly joint as well, which is needed to grip the controls inside of the Snowspeeder. We've got a diaphragm. We've got obviously elbow joints, everything you're going to need, wrist joints. He can do the splits, but not too much because obviously the fly suit's in the way. You've got thigh splits, you've got a knee joint, and of course you've got joints and a rocker on the ankle as well. Plenty of articulation. Obviously Black Series figures, they always come with as much articulation as you're going to need pretty much. But as I say, the butterfly joints are very handy indeed to grip those controls and joysticks inside the cockpit. Alright then guys, that is my review of the 6-inch scale Snowspeeder. Let's just have another look at it now. It is an absolute beast, as I mentioned before. I hope you've enjoyed this review. It is very difficult to review this because it is just so big and it's very difficult to get it all in camera shot. But I hope I've done a pretty good job for you there, shown you all the features. I hope I haven't missed anything for you guys. But if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like down below, as it really does help the video and the channel indeed. And of course, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you on the next one.